What if Deku was a villain? Part 3. So, where I left off was Deku and Uraraka basically hugging each other in the bar, the villain hideout in the bar, basically. Because they're both villains now, as Deku just asked her to be a villain with him. She said yes, of course, to that. And then Deku says if she ever betrays him, he'll have to kill her. And she just nods and says, I'll never betray you, Deku. And then she just says she loves him, and he's like, sure, I love you too. Like, all of that stuff happens. And then Deku asks Hirogiri to warp them to just a place close to Yurei, like in a back alley or something. But he says wait like a couple days. And so they wait a couple days, and Uraraka and Deku are now missing to the public, basically. And then finally the day comes. It's actually the day right before the sports festival, as they've just been training up their quirks and stuff with, I'd say, all for one. So they actually are done with that, and then they go, and then, Deku just says, okay, Hirogiri, can you warp us to a place close by UA in like a back alley or something, and like basically make us unconscious. And Kirigiri is just like, oh yeah, sure. So then it's not as suspicious as you guys just walking back. And Deku's just like, oh yeah, sure, do that. So basically, what happens was, so they actually get teleported into an alleyway, and Deku has his arm over Uraraka when like they fall down, and then I'm gonna say Todoroki was walking to his house. He noticed two people lying in the alleyway. He walked over to ask if they needed help, and then realized that it was Deku and Uraraka, the two people that were missing. So he immediately called the heroes, and so they didn't move them. They just woke them up, basically. They waited them to wake up. Uraraka was actually the first to wake up, and she looked over at Deku, who had her arm around, and then she just said, what happened? And then she just, like, basically gets up and runs up against the wall, like, what the heck? What'd I do with Deku? And then Deku wakes up and, like, what happened? And, like, they're like, yes, we finally found them. So the day passes, and now it's the sports festival. Okay, sports festival. We're starting off with the race. Deku and Uraraka are now dating, basically, as they're both villains now, so they're dating. They haven't told it to the class yet, because they're planning on doing it for another time, basically. So then they go. So the race is about to begin. Deku is just looking pretty confident. And basically, President Mike says, go! And Deku, the first one to get out, just used wind tornadoes vertically and just shot them. So, like, the wind pushed everyone back, breaking all of Todoroki's ice, and Todoroki couldn't get out either because of how much wind Deku was using. So Deku just used, he used a ton of wind power and just instantly got over the 0 Point robots, over the obstacle course, over the minefield, and then just walked in. And all of them are amazed, like, whoa, does that get out of some type of air manipulation quirk or something? Wind manipulation? And Deku gets first. Basically, Todoroki or Bakugo gets second and third, basically. Uraraka, I'm going to say, gets fourth, just because, like, she ended up making herself lighter and trained herself not to puke for that long, so she ended up getting fourth. And I know I didn't explain this, but I'm actually changing his quirk a little bit. So he has wind manipulation, and in order for him to explode someone's head, when the person breathes in and that air goes in, I'm saying that he can use his wind manipulation to manipulate the air into the person's skull and then use the wind current to basically just explode the skull from the inside, as the wind is too much for the brain to handle. So that's how he does it. And now, basically what happened, Deku gets first, and now it's time for the cavalry battle. Everyone's staring at Deku as nobody wants to join, but Uraraka actually came over there like first and says, "Deku, you want to be on my team?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, sure. Thanks, Uraraka. I thought nobody was going to join him." And she just gives like a little wink to Deku, and they smirk to each other, because like this is basically the first time they've seen each other the entire day, just knowing that they're villains and stuff. So nobody else wants to join them, but there's 2 people left that have to join them, which is, I'm going to say, Shoji and Tokiyami. And everyone's just staring down Deku, and Deku says, "If you want to get me, you'll have to come through this," as he puts a ton of air. He uses his tornado. He uses his tornadoes to basically puts them all around, and like they're basically being covered by the wind, and it's affecting them but also everyone else. And everyone's just like, "Geez, that guy has pressure." So they're like, "Yeah, we're probably not going to get him." But Todoroki and Bakugo actually go for him. Todoroki tries to use his ice, and he's like, "Damn it, why can't I use my ice against this kid?" As every time he uses his ice, the wind immediately shatters it, because his ice isn't strong enough. So Todoroki basically just starts going after other people. But Bakugo, on the other hand, he starts firing up he starts firing up explosions and just starts basically gliding across the air with his explosions. Then he reaches the top where there's no tornadoes around, and he just hops right in. And he goes for Deku, and Deku's like, "Oh, you think it'd be that easy?" As he puts a tornado in his hand and just throws it up in the air, which sends Bakugo flying. And his group is basically like, "Dang it, Bakugo, why'd you have to go up?" Because if Bakugo touches the ground, their team loses. So they're scrambling to try and catch Bakugo. And they end up catching Bakugo, but all of them fell and had their had their headband taken by the kid that hates Yue. Can't remember his name. He's in 1B. So he starts running, and then Bakugo says, "Get up, you losers! We gotta get our headband back!" As he starts chasing after them. So there's 5 minutes left there's 30 seconds left, and Todoroki, Bakugo, and Shinso's group are all staring down Deku, as Deku just smiles, and he just yells out, "Wind manipulation, massive wind tornado," and the tornado just circles and engulfs Izuki's group, and they're just confused, like, "What's happening?" And he says, "We're going to the top." And they're just sitting up at the top of the tornado, and then they hear, "Time's up!" from President Mike. So Deku stops his quirk, and they just start falling down. Uraraka uses her quirk on them, because Deku knew she was going to do that. And so when they get down, Uraraka slaps Deku and says, "Why would you do that?" And he's like, "Well, I knew you were going to save us," as Deku just laughs. Uraraka's kind of just like, she's just kind of, she's kind of mad that Deku would do that, but she's fine with it since they're basically dating. So yeah, that happens. It's Deku's team in first with 100 million. Then it's Bakugo's team, and then Todoroki's team. And now it's time for the 1v1s. So first up, it's Deku versus Shinso. And Deku never got a warning from Shinso, but Deku's much more collected about everything, so Deku knows, like, that not to buy into somebody's, like, crap. So as Shinso's trying to talk crap about 1A and stuff, Deku doesn't really care about them. Like, Deku doesn't care about them, so he just doesn't answer. He just starts smiling as he walks toward Shinso, and Shinso's just really, really mad. Shinso's just scared. He's like, what? Why isn't my quirk working on you? And Deku just tries to say something, but then his brain tells him not to. And he's like, must have a brainwashing quirk. Thanks, brain. As he just thanks his mind, basically. So he walks towards Shinso. And that's when he surrounds the entire arena in tornadoes and just looks at Shinso, like with a devilish stare. And Shinso's scared out of his mind. So when Deku drops all of the wind, like all of the crowd sees Shinso running, like away from Deku, just right out of the arena, as he yells, "That kid's evil!" You could see it in his eyes, and Deku just laughs, "Yeah, sure." So that happens. All the rounds go the exact same, and then we get Deku and Todoroki's fight. This is a part to behold. Now, Todoroki obviously knows that his fire would easily beat, or wouldn't easily beat it, but it'd be some sort of a challenge for Deku, as like wind and fire actually kind of mix, basically, making the flames a little stronger. So Deku knows this, and he doesn't. So Deku is kind of thinking, and Deku doesn't want Todoroki to use his ice, but he tries to tell Todoroki that he's not going to win without his ice. And Todoroki knows this, but he's like, I'm still going to beat you with only my mother's quirk. And that's when Deku just gets pissed off and says, it's your own quirk, Todoroki. Do you think your mom and dad would be ashamed at something? Do you think, why would you be upset about your quirk? Your father is 100% fire and your mom is 100% ice. You have both of them. You need to stop representing your father and represent more of your mother if you like her so much. And Todoroki is just hit in the heart, like, damn, what is this kid's words? So strong. As he says, fine. As he mixes his ice and fire together, shooting an attack at Deku. And Deku is just walking forward, and Deku goes straight into the attack, and everyone's like, what the hell is that kid doing? And Deku's still walking forward, and they're like, wait, what happened? And Deku says, first thing, fire melts ice, don't mix it. As he sends a wind current right at Todoroki, and Todoroki barely stops himself from getting out with a ice wall. So Todoroki runs up and punches Deku in the face before Deku uses a wind cyclone right at Todoroki's chest, which sends Todoroki flying up in the air. And then Deku basically uses his wind, jumps up, and just smashes him right down into the ground. And Todoroki just coughs up like, what the hell? And Todoroki's just like, damn, this kid's so strong. Even without his quirk, he's amazing. As he is about to slip into unconsciousness, and then Deku steps on him and says, "Oh, are you gonna give up that easily?" As Deku grabs him by the head and says, "Come on, Todoroki. I thought you'd be a challenge, at least to be a little challenge since you're the son of the number 2 hero." As Todoroki just starts flaming up with ice, and Deku's like, "Oh, you better watch yourself there. You don't want to hurt yourself." And Deku just does his wind cyclone again and beats him right back down to the ground. And Todoroki coughs up more blood. And he says, I will not lose to you. As he stands up and just runs after Deku. Deku seeing this is like, what? You really think you could beat me? As Deku is hit with a massive fire. And Deku is in pain by this, and he's like, God damn it, really hurt. As he looks over at Todoroki and says, now you're dead. As he like basically sends himself flying at Todoroki, putting a wind cyclone on both of Todoroki's feet, and then the wind cyclones just take him right up. Like the wind cyclones are just taking Todoroki, and they just take him right outside of the arena. And President Mike is just like, what just happened? Izuku Midoriya is the winner. So I hope you guys did enjoy. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and give me your suggestions for new what ifs. See you guys. Bye.